Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using code Hawkeye and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, and the best daily promotions in the business. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matters more than ever. Remember to use code Hawkeye and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Place your money line, prop, or parlay bets with the king of sportsbooks today. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Iowa only. New customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hashtag no music, no intro. Another episode of Hashtag Saints Twitter podcast. I feel like this is like the worst fucking day to fucking do a fucking Saints Twitter podcast. We should call it the coup podcast. That's what it should be. just an avalanche of shit happening today in the world. So Ryan and I idea was, you know what? Let's make our listeners' day better and let's talk about all the fucking drama the Saints have endured all fucking year leading up to a playoff game. Just to tie it into a nice little bow. And to help us do that, we have the honor of being joined with Katherine Terrell of the Atlantic joining us, which I think this is your third appearance on the podcast, which I think only one other person's been on the podcast 3 times. Greg Cosell. So that's up there. You're getting up there, Kat.
Yeah, I just had to correct you and tell you I don't work for the Atlantic, but we've all had a long day. It's okay.
What? You know what? I don't.
It's okay.
Where do you work?
The Athletic, the one with the other name that starts with an A.
You know what?
I'm glad I'm coming on when the world's burning down, by the way. Is that like some weird omen?
For the Bears game on Sunday? Who fucking knows?
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe just me coming on when like the whole world is going crazy for the 900th time.
Yeah. So it's really insane to think about everything this team has gone through. And I said it, I think I said it when Chauncey went on the COVID list. Ryan and I could just do a spin-off podcast talking about Saints drama, and we would have enough content to do like 2 podcasts. Like we would never run out of material. No. But we just wanted to start at the beginning. And so I believe, and I could be wrong, if we're just talking about strictly quote unquote drama, the first big thing that the Saints had to deal with as a team was Drew's epic Yahoo Finance. And I will say that Saints Twitter was on point when Drew was doing his post conference. And so ask him about Washington.
Oh.
Nobody it blurs together. I mean, Saints Twitter is always upset about something, right?
We have to be. We wouldn't be Saints Twitter if we weren't.
It wouldn't be nearly as much fun.
Absolutely true. So that was the first thing that kind of just fucking just a mess when that whole interview and that whole thing took place.
Yeah, I mean, as I was telling y'all before the podcast, I did this whole timeline of like every weird, crazy thing that's happened in Louisiana sports since January. that no one read that week. I think it was because of New Year's Eve. I'm going to go with that. Anyway, I mean, I guess you could say the whole like Saints are going to hold a draft at Dixie Brewery was the first thing, but that doesn't really affect the team. That just,
No.
But that was like one of the weirder things that happened earlier in the year. I mean, but the whole Breeze thing happened at the beginning of June. I mean, and I can't believe it's now like almost a year ago, or it feels like it at this point.
Yeah.
Because back then, oh my God, that was the longest day I remember. And I just was thinking, I was like, is this team gonna be able to like? Are they even gonna like each other? Like, right. I mean, it was a valid concern. I mean, and if they didn't, they got over it or pretended to.
I mean, you had Malcolm Jenkins.
Bro, how did I forget about that video? Malcolm Jenkins.
I mean,
that was intense.
Upset and intense. I mean, you had Mike Thomas and throwing little shots on Twitter. It was. I mean, this was on. Like, I woke up in the morning, like the next, like 2 mornings later, and it was still on like Good Morning America, one of the morning shows, like not the football show, like Good Morning America. They were talking about the Drew Brees story. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is somebody who's never had negative publicity, almost ever, like ever, and now you have like the loudest negative publicity. And I'm not trying to make it all about publicity. I'm not, not trying to be cynical or anything. But I'm just saying, like, Drew Brees has had like a kind of shiny image for a long time, and he goes to lengths to maintain that image. So for him to step in that, like that was something. That was something.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen anything like that. I mean, in the NFL, like it's very rare to see players criticize other players to that extent. You never see the whole league go after one guy.
And for it to be Drew, like it was Drew.
The whole league was at Drew's neck.
Yeah, I mean, his teammates and everything. I mean, that was just coming from all sides. I kind of made the joke later. Actually, a lot of us did. We were like, do you think Drew fired whoever booked that Yahoo Finance interview? Because of all places, Yahoo Finance, he thinks he's just going on there to talk about, I don't know,
finance, because we know
or Jimmy John's or whatever.
Maybe some diamonds. I don't know. Who knows?
Any of those Untuckets or, whatever, walk-ons. And then the next day, it was probably one of the worst days of his life. I mean, I'm going to guess. I mean, I know that they patched everything up and, life went on, but that was some tense few weeks there because it was the summer. So there was, in the sporting world, especially this year, there was nothing else to talk about. So it just kept going on and on for weeks and weeks. And I think we are still, I don't think we talked to players and coaches until July. So I don't even think we asked them about it until later. I might be getting the timeline wrong, but I know it was a good month that's like, that was a news story.
Yeah, it was with George Floyd and all that happened. And then, I guess what's funny is, like you said, it's kind of moved on from, but at the same time, we just kind of kept going into the season. It's like, how will this play out when they actually get together? And, just football is normal, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, oh, well, I guess that, but what's funny is anytime he makes any kind of social media post now, he gets it from both sides. Like, he gets, like, they are at his neck every time.
Yeah, probably the only one that has it worse is Andres Pete, but he probably doesn't tweet like ever.
Pete don't ever tweet, man.
I saw that he blocked someone once, and I was like, I didn't even know Pete read it. Yeah. Like, I don't know what you'd have to do to get blocked, but I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just gonna say that the interesting thing to me, and I tweeted about this the other day, was that Emmanuel Sanders, who didn't know Brees very well, outside of that recruiting trip he took to get him, that was after he signed. When he flew up to, right. I don't know Denver. When he flew up. Yeah, I don't know when he flew up. I don't know if it happened before or after. But, Sanders tweeted, like he's ignorant. And the first time we talked to Sanders, he was like singing Brees's praises. Like you could tell he won him over. He just kept saying like he has the best work ethic. I've never seen anything like this, since Peyton, and he just kept going on. And I was like, that's so interesting. Like whatever he thought, like clearly he was won over just by watching how hard he works in practice and things like that. And I don't know. I thought that was interesting because he was from the perspective where he didn't know him. Like Malcolm Jenkins knew him. Michael Thomas knew him, but I mean, he and Sanders are probably virtual strangers. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't know why it stood out to me, but it did.
So that jump started the offseason, like fresh dab in the middle. And then if I'm remembering correctly, I believe what happened after that was right before the start of the season. It was like the Alvin, is Alvin going to get an extension? Mm-hmm. He's not been at training camp the last couple of days, but he was healthy. And, Ryan and I, postulated, like, is he pulling a Melvin Ingram where he's doing like an in-house holdout? And then it kind of confirms that he was. And then he wasn't returning Peyton's calls. And then the Josina Anderson report where, they're opening trading him. And this is all before week 1. Like this.
And the weirdness of this season, that didn't get resolved until the beginning of September. Like he came back to practice on September 2nd. Like isn't that crazy? Like the season hadn't started yet.
They played the Bucks September 13th.
Yeah, like it's so crazy to me. Like it just felt like the longest summer. But it's weird, like just that was still training camp. Like what a long training camp. Yeah, and then they played the Bucks in front of no fans, and that was weird, and I still haven't gotten used to it. And I'm trying. Oh, and that was when Thomas injured his ankle.
Yep, sure was.
Starting that whole saga.
Oh my God! And it's just crazy how just back to Alvin Kamara. Just I tweeted last week, like Mike Thomas, he got paid last year prior to the offseason, and then had his historic season. And this year Alvin Kamara gets paid, and he has just an outstanding season. He won't win MVP, but he's in that kind of group of players that, like, if you did, if 9 quarterbacks did get MVP, he'd be one of the guys mentioned. So I mean, I guess that's just a testament to paying the right guys. Like like nobody's thinking about what contract Alvin Kamara got. Like, who cares? Like it's like no one cares that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as we all know, they did not always pay the right guys, and
Lord.
They paid for that, and they've figured out. I wouldn't get to name any names, but
we name names on the podcast. Yeah. Like let's keep it real.
Well, everyone knows. They regretted that. Obviously, I mean that was financial hit, locker room insanity, and
Brandon Browner, but he was a free agent. But he didn't get paid that much though, relatively speaking. Like when they cut him, it was like, whatever. Like they didn't even care. I think it was like $5 million in dead money, which to them now is like so minuscule. They're just like, whatever. Like that. I mean, the junior thing, that was a big deal because it was $20 million. And I mean, you just don't see that until this past few years when the Rams and some other teams have had these like absurd guaranteed contracts and they have to just eat all that money. But that's a whole other issue. But my rambling is just to say, like, it goes to show they figured out who to give second contracts to. I mean, because I don't think they have concerns about Michael Thomas's work ethic. I mean, despite the stuff that happened this year, or that Alvin Kamara is going to prove that he deserved to be paid. So, and DeMario Davis, even though that contract kind of flew under the radar, but I mean, that's an obvious one too.
Yeah, that was kind of huge. That DeMario Davis, it was just like
it was announced. It was announced by Aaron Andrews. I want to say during maybe the Bucks game. I think
it was the Bucks game. Yeah, it was the Bucks game. I was like, huh? Oh, okay.
They must have talked about it in production meetings, and I guess said go ahead with it. I mean, that was weird. Like I obviously was not watching the TV. I was at the game, so that took me by surprise too.
So like you said, that was the game. Michael Thomas hurts his ankle. That starts that saga, and I'm trying to go through their schedule and thinking like, what, So after that, it was the Raiders game, which they dropped. They dropped the Green Bay game during that time span. There's a lot of talk of like Taysom was doing just having a lot of negative plays. And then there's the Detroit game where it's the Michael Burton COVID scare on Saturday night. Before the game, people are frantically in Ryan's and my mentions asking for a goddamn emergency pod. And we're like, no, absolutely not. It just the craziness of that in general, because up to that point, the Saints have been very proactive regarding COVID, and we'll get to that on the tail end. But like the whole false positive thing, and it was just a mess, right? Right before them playing on Sunday against the Lions. Yeah, I mean, it was so interesting. That was another long day. I got like 2 hours of sleep that night because I was too worried to go to sleep that I would miss something. And I had someone from Detroit texting me at, I don't even know, 5 a.m. maybe, like, hey, if you find out first that we're going to play, let me know. Like, they didn't even know. I didn't find out until 6 a.m. And that was when they were given the final all clear. If that had happened now, the NFL it wouldn't be as big of a deal, because the NFL kind of just decided at some point during the season, like, we're going with games. It doesn't matter. They're getting played. Because it was so early, there was a real fear that game was going to be canceled and the team was just going to, I don't know, like, leave Detroit. I don't know what they would have done. But now it kind of seems like it's not that the NFL doesn't care as much. It just kind of seems like they're full steam ahead, play the games no matter what. I don't know if y'all feel that way as well, but it definitely seems like it was treated differently than it would be. Yeah. The NFL doesn't – they can talk about player safety and all that, but at the end of the day, they want games to be played. They want money. It's a business, and they're going to go put on a show, whether it's hell or high water. Like, that's the message I've gotten this entire season.
Poor, no quarterbacks, whatever. Like,
no running backs, no quarterbacks. I mean, you would think that Denver game, they would have been like, you know what? This is going to be a horrible, horrible game. We should probably move it, even for the sake of getting viewers to keep watching it for TV ratings. Like, that, as a viewer, that probably had to be one of the worst games anyone has ever watched. It
was interesting for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
it was just awful.
Yeah, like, let's see what's going to happen. Then you're like, oh no, this ain't going to work. Like, this is just.
I mean, I can speak as a Saints fan. Watching an undrafted wide receiver, former quarterback, try to play quarterback was absolutely delightful. Like, I wish all their quarterbacks they face was like that. And we haven't got to the Denver game, but since we're on it, we haven't even talked about the whole crazy concept that, like, Denver was trying to get like an offensive coach who hasn't played football in a couple of years to maybe play quarterback. That would have been incredible. That would have been the greatest thing in the world. I mean,
that's a movie. Like, that's a movie.
That's a movie. Like, imagine an offensive head coach who hasn't played football in 5+ years, and Demario Davis is coming at him full speed. Like,
isn't it kind of funny how of all the things the NFL does, like, that's too far. They're like, no, we can't do that, for whatever the reason.
Right.
Like, integrity or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's where you draw the line? You're making them play without quarterbacks, but how dare they try to, like, bring in this. Just the NFL is so funny sometimes. I mean,
it is.
That's your line? Like, why do you care? I don't know. The things they care about, it just blows my mind sometimes.
So you don't travel with the team? No, you don't travel with the team anymore?
I did for some games this year. I mean, a lot of games I didn't. It was just kind of like a case-by-case thing, and I miss traveling. And if they have to travel in the postseason, I think I would go. But it's hard when there's no open locker room anymore.
Yeah. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah. Right. And there was some, like, I had originally planned, they had that 3-game road stretch. The Athletic prefers right now that we don't go to back-to-back away games. So I was trying to figure out how I would go about it. And then one of the games was right around Thanksgiving, and we thought that was a bad time to travel. I might be getting the timeline wrong. I mean, eventually we just decided let's not go to any of those 3, but it was like a week by week thing, not like a blanket you're not going thing. I miss it, but I mean, I just kind of look forward to next year when I get to travel. Well, knock on wood. Hopefully get to travel. And I mean, it's like, it sounds so funny saying that. Like, I don't like to complain about that because fans like don't even get to go watch their teams play. And it's just, it's the whole thing sucks. But hopefully next year.
Hopefully.
Well,
fingers
or
crossed.
next season. Yeah.
So in this time period after the Lions game, we're not like, this podcast isn't even necessarily talking about like the actual play of the team. This is just everything the Saints have been through. So in that time frame, the Saints are getting hope. Like, Saints fans are getting hope. Oh, Mike Thomas is going to come back. Maybe he's going to come back after, I believe it was like after the bye, right? Potentially like that Carolina game, right? That he was going to come back. And then we find out, and then the whole CD Deuce, Mike Thomas, brouhaha, Donnybrook takes place, and he gets suspended a game. And then it's the Mike Thomas trade rumors and all that for a couple of days or a week or whatever it was. And it's like the whole aura of the team at this point felt bad.
Yeah, it's just like, what, same old crazy Saints. By the way, I should have run this like highly inappropriate Twitter poll that said, who do you think Mike Thomas punched in the face? Because I guarantee you, or punched who did he punch? I guarantee you would have been like 99% of people say it was CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Oh my God. Like
1%, like Lattimore, maybe. There was like another dark horse person that I was like, he could have been.
No, absolutely no.
But I told everyone, I was like, it's CJ.
Everybody knew. It was just like, as soon as everyone heard, it was like, yep, makes sense. That'll do it.
Well, they were going at it in training camp. I mean, I when I saw that, I was like, yep, definitely CJ. There's no doubt in my mind, because in training camp, CJ looked at Thomas, and I wrote about it, but he was saying something, and CJ and Swearinger were like, stop crying, and Thomas didn't look too happy. And so when that whole thing happened, I was like, I could see that. I could see CJ just like needling him until he just lost it, like over the course of a month.
I mean, we saw it in the Bears game.
Yeah,
Speaking of, it's going to be the Javon Wims revenge game on Sunday. I can't wait. I can't wait.
I love that he tweets about it. Yeah, as far as I know. I mean, maybe he's still sitting on that bench fuming about his mouthpiece. He sat there for 11 minutes.
Oh,
shout out to Evan, who did investigative journalism.
Okay, that was amazing. That's like the greatest thing I've seen.
I need to dig those tweets up. That was great. Like that.
He
sat there for 11 minutes.
We got to retweet them for the upcoming Bears game. Like, it's only right.
Oh man, it's only right. I wanted to ask you, was it you that asked Kamara, like, I don't know if it was you, Amy, or Luke, that asked Kamara, like, what is it about CJ Gardner-Johnson? What is it about him that makes him?
That was me.
That was you. I was like, that's a good ass question.
And his answer was hilarious. I was writing this piece. I don't know if y'all read it, but it was this piece about like how he's been this like annoying pest since he was a kid. Yeah. I mean, the stories his coaches told were so funny. He said, like, when he was 6, he was like, making other kids cry, and parents would come to him and tell his coach, like, you need to get a hold of that kid. And he's like, no, like, that's who he is. Let him be who he is. I mean, and the coach is still close to him. And it's just funny that parents are like, aren't you going to do anything about him? And he's like, no, nah, he's good.
And it makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
If he was on any other team, I would hate his guts. But
oh my God, I could not stand him if he wasn't a Saint. I couldn't stand him. So what was like your feeling when the whole Mike Thomas, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson thing happened, and just the feel that the team had at that point?
I mean, as far as that specifically, I thought that was going to blow over. I mean, I thought everyone was making this huge deal about it, and I get it, but I just thought, CJ's a pest and Michael Thomas is very intense, and I mean, that's going to happen and whatever. But I don't think I thought of it any more than that in the terms of I didn't think, oh, this is going to fracture the team or anything. I just thought it was two guys that's how they practice. I think I was more worried at that point about, or I would have, if I was a fan, I would have been more worried about why the secondary was playing so poorly. Because I think that was right after the Green Bay game was still fairly close in the rearview mirror around that time.
No, I think it was. I think it happened. It was after the Chargers game where they got roasted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Generally, the secondary didn't play well for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
So that was my concern. But, what's interesting is I said this to Larry today, just how in training camp, CJ actually got burned a lot, and he really didn't look great. And I said, this guy, the way he plays, he's either going to be, like, incredible or it's going to be a disaster. And there's never going to be any in between with him. It's just how he plays because he's so intense. And now, I mean, it's like leaning towards the incredible because he's playing so well. But it's just funny how things can change from training camp because he was having it rough for a few weeks there.
Yeah. I remember you guys saying that he was having it rough, and a lot of fans were thinking like, oh, I mean, it's down second year or whatever, and he started just like the whole defense wasn't great when he started. Everybody took their lumps, but then he kind of came on with the rest of the defense, proven, and which was kind of another side story, just the turnaround the defense had, which made sense because, I mean, all offseason it was written about, well, the Saints on paper has one of the best rosters or whatever. And just for them to start so slow. And I remember probably by week 4 or 5, I was starting to seriously ask, is this team, is the roster talented? Did we misjudge the roster? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, just that turnaround, what did you think attributed to that? It was just, just guys just figuring out how to play well eventually.
I think they reassessed a lot as coaches over the bye and tried to figure out what the heck was happening. Because now that I'm thinking back, I do remember people tweeting, the reporters or saying something like, how can you guys have fallen for the whole good training camp defense thing again? How they show up to training camp and they look great, and
they're basically like you fell for the banana in the tailpipe.
Right. It's like, how can you guys fall for that again? They look terrible. And I'm like, I don't know. I said it when I wrote it. They look great, but you know how this is. I'm not, holding my breath, but they did look great in training camp. And so maybe it was a sign of, hey, they can play this well. I mean, I just thought they needed to figure out how to play together as a secondary. It's not like they had that many new faces, but I guess it's enough. Janoris Jenkins hadn't really been there that long and hadn't played with them in that many games. And then you swap Von Bell for Malcolm Jenkins, and he hasn't been there in forever. And I guess that was enough to throw off the chemistry, and they had to, figure that out all over again. And also, Lattimore just wasn't playing well. He had some bad games. And so I think once they kind of figured out how to gel and stop the miscommunication stuff, they really start playing well. But that's with Lattimore. It's kind of like he either plays like the best corner in the league, or he plays it's always against unknown guys. He brings this unknown receiver in there against them, and he can play terrible, and it makes no sense. Sometimes he plays down to his competition, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess let's see what happened next. So
the hurricane.
Oh,
are we getting to the Bears game? That was Bears week.
Oh boy, I completely forgot about the hurricane.
That was also the week I'm looking at my timeline now, so this is not totally random. That was the week all those shirtless photos of Coach O leaked on the internet. It's already weird. Oh, and Emmanuel Sanders tested positive for COVID that week.
That's right, because he missed the Bears game.
Yeah, it was a weird week. It was so weird for everyone. I didn't have power. That's all I complain about when I talk about that week. I'm like, I watched it on the North Shore with my friend's dog half on my laptop because I had no power. And I think that's why the Saints played so poorly. It was just a weird week that everyone just kind of had to slog through.
I think it was Mike Thomas out, Sanders, and wasn't Callaway out too?
I don't. Maybe that seems a little early for him to have had his knee injury, but maybe it wasn't.
I remember one. Oh, was it Traquan? I can't remember, but it was one of the games where like everybody was out, like all the wide receivers. It was just terrible.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah, that was the Bears game.
It was a weird game. It was almost like they're just trying to get through it. And they also never seem to play that well on grass. I don't know if my theory is correct because, like, you know, obviously they played great at Tampa. But there's some games they go out and play out like on the road on grass fields, and they're just not good. And I don't know what that is. I mean, maybe the theory's flawed, but the Eagles game too. I'm trying to look up who was not. Yeah, Callaway was out. So no Callaway, no Thomas. Feels familiar.
So it was the Hurricane. Emmanuel Sanders tested positive for COVID, which I completely forgot about. Like, that's how long the season it's been. And then the Tampa game happens, and the second Tampa game, which is the biggest game of the season up to that point. The best that the Saints have looked all season was that Tampa game. Like, that was the peak of their dominance. And then the week after, they go and play the Niners, and that's where Drew gets hurt, and he can't finish the game. And Jameis comes in and finishes it with his broken ribs and everything.
Yeah, I think to me that was the game where it really started to solidify that this is Breeze's last year. I mean, I still don't know that for certain, but I'd be shocked if it wasn't, because it just felt that way. It started to feel like, okay, now it's the second year in a row, this guy who didn't miss a start for like 15 years or whatever, like dating back to high school at start because of injury, is now getting hurt all the time. And I remember that post-game press conference. I'd never seen him like that. He was so I don't know if morose is the right word because it's hard to describe him that way. It was weird. It was very weird. It felt like very serious. And the fact that he's playing now, it's both surprising and not surprising after I watched that. And I just never seen, Breeze, who, has probably called himself like Pollyanna before because he's always optimistic, just seems so down. So that was a weird vibe in that game. And then,
just that video of him walking the coach, before halftime starts, like, I can't go. Drew would never say that. You just know that's not something he ever says. He would, and he had already played after getting hurt. He had already finished that little 2-minute drive and got a touchdown and all that stuff. So it was like, whoa, like, this is serious, man. And then Adam Schefter puts out like it's 11 Ed Werder, 11 broken ribs and collapsed lung. It's like, oh shit. Like, I'm thinking Drew Brees is done, man. Like, this is it.
I still don't get it. I get it that they can, give you painkillers and shoot players up to like with Toradol or whatever it's called. Yeah, but I still don't get how you're effective. I don't get how you function with 11 rib fractures. I feel like I would be curled up, on my couch for the next month. But there's a reason he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I just write about football. But it's crazy. I'm gonna miss covering him. I mean, just stuff like that. It's just we're gonna look back on it and be like, that was so insane. Like, why do we think that was normal that he would come back in 3 weeks?
Right. Exactly. That's ridiculous. Like, that's insane.
It's crazy.
Like, that's insane.
It's insane. It makes no sense. So that was the game where Drew gets hurt, and you guys said it perfectly. I just remember how just downtrodden he looked in the post.
That's a good word for it. Yeah.
Just
downtrodden,
sullened, and then we're all assuming like, oh shit, well, Jameis is going to start against Atlanta. We're going to finally see Jameis and see the arm and the offense, and then Friday, I believe it was before Sunday. Nope, not Jameis. It's Taysom. What? Huh?
Yeah, in hindsight, we should have seen that coming, right?
Yeah, we really should have.
I thought it was possible it would be Taysom. I mean, and Jeff was all over the fact that it would be Taysom from like the beginning. But yeah, it was it made things interesting. Falcons week is never boring anyway, and so for Taysom to be playing on Falcons week and just made that weird rivalry even weirder. And that was when Roddy White decided to emerge from his like hiding place to tweet about the Saints, which he does like once a year, and then everyone runs him off. It's one of my favorite parts of the year.
Sean Payton retweeting him and all that stuff.
I hope Roddy White always sticks around to do that. Like, he's barely tweeted since.
Yeah, I don't think so. And Taysom wins that game, goes, beats Denver, QB-less Denver. Then, faces the Falcons again on a 3-game win streak. And here we go again. No Drew Brees, Saints still winning. Defense, somehow, when Drew Brees is out, there's this apparent magic switch they flip where they're like, we will not allow a yard.
Right?
So annoying.
They just
how did they do that? It's like in Seattle last year. I mean, Seattle, where they always played horribly, and then all of a sudden last year, there's no Drew Brees, and the defense just decides, well, I think I'm going to play really well. I think I'm going to play really well today, relatively speaking, because I looked at their stats, and I can't remember if they gave up a lot of yards or not. I feel like they did.
The last,
the end of it. Yeah.
It got ugly, but like the first 2.5 quarters, it was just like dominance. We were like, are they going to blow the Seattle out? Like, what's going on here?
That's when we realized how good Deontay Harris is going to be too, I think.
Oh yeah.
He had a really good game. But anyway, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how they do that, but it just shows that somehow they have finally become the defense everyone,
Is that crazy for you?
Hope for 10 years.
You covered the worst of the worst defenses with the Saints. Is that kind of crazy for you, just watching the team, just like the defense is protecting the offense sometimes?
It still is so bizarre to me. Actually, the defense did give up 500 yards. I was right. That's so weird. It must have all come at the end.
Oh, it was all garbage. Are you talking about the Seattle game? It was all garbage.
Yeah, because it didn't feel like that. Yeah, I feel like there's so many years I said, because my first year around the Saints is 2012, and I feel like so many times, not that year, but later, I said they just had an average defense, just like a defense that could do literally anything but watch people run by them. They would be a great team. And now I feel like I've said, well, if the offense can just be average.
How loud is that?
It's so I will never wrap my mind around it, because I covered a really bad defense in Cincinnati, so I have covered some horrifically bad defenses, and so it's funny now. It's funny how the NFL changes, but yeah, I said today, I'm like, man, the defense is going to lead this team through the playoffs if the offense just like is adequate. If they don't pull a Kansas City and keep them on the field the whole time.
Yeah,
they'll be fine. So that's it's crazy, but yeah, we'll see. It's hard for fans to get their hopes up because they've like heard this story before, and then then all of a sudden they're watching, and like Marcus Williams is like watching someone run by him or something like that. God. Yeah, sorry to bring it up. That wasn't anything really specific I was referring to, just that everyone is always racing.
To the Minnesota Miracle. What do you mean there wasn't anything specific?
Well, actually, it wasn't even that. I actually was thinking more about the Niners game with the missed tackle, but I just meant that, I feel like Saints fans are always like too afraid to be really excited about it because they've just they've seen the worst.
We know.
Yeah.
We know. So I'm trying to think. So that the Denver game. So like Ryan said, Saints are on a three game winning streak. It's like, here, Eagles game. At this point they had the number 1 seed. Everything was looking up, and then the worst loss of the season is them dropping the Eagles game, where Taysom doesn't look good. The defense, again, in my opinion, did enough for the team to win that game, but the offense was just in molasses the entire game, it seemed like. And and they dropped that game to the Eagles. And as soon as that game happened, I knew Drew was playing against Kansas City. Like you couldn't tell me anything else. But I knew he was playing, and he did. And I mean, if we look back to it, like if we want a reason why the Saints don't have the number one seed in NFC, that Eagles game is the game. Like that's what did it for them. Like that's what did them in.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone had to have seen that coming. Like that was the game I thought, as we got down to it, that they could lose because it just was so typical. Saints outdoor on the grass into the 3-game road streak. They're going to be tied. I just thought, I was like, if they're going to lose a game, it's going to be that game. And then weirdly, I thought they were going to turn around and beat Kansas City the next week. And they didn't. You're like, absolutely not. Well, maybe if the offense.
I think if they had a healthy Drew from the Chiefs, maybe, like it's a maybe. But with Drew compromised, at least early, you got a little better. It just not against Patrick Mahomes. It just was too much. And
I will
defense.
I respected and appreciated the defense so much that game.
I did. Even though they gave up points, and yards and all that, but it was just like
it's just how they played. Like
it's one of those games you had to see and watch the defense because it's like and compare it to other Chiefs games. Like you have to put like the Chiefs on a different scale, like relative to other games, and it's like, okay, they played Mahomes, like they made Mahomes punt. You know what I'm saying? Like
they caused him to fumble twice, right? Yeah, twice. Like that game in itself probably gets Trigger Trey paid bank this offseason.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, they didn't even allow 300 yards passing in that game, which is, considering how good that offense is surprising. It's
like
they're on the field 42 minutes. I mean, what are you what more are you supposed to ask of them? I mean, it was just a weird game.
I know you got to get out of here soon, but we completely forgot the Clowney trade. Trade.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, trade. I don't even know what you call it. Like he was going to sign to the Browns and do a trade.
Wow, I completely forgot about that. I didn't even
trade a pick, the salary cap trade, and I don't know what. Some undisclosed player was involved that was going to be included in the trade. Rankins.
I respect the hustle, and yes, it should have. I mean, I don't know if it was Rankins, but it should have been. I mean, he's gonna leave in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Oh my god.
And then who rises from the ashes is Trey Hendrickson. Like who would have thought? I mean, he leads the team in sacks. He's third in NFL in sacks. Like who saw that?
That is insane.
Yeah, that's wild. It's still wild to me. I mean, and I thought that when I rejoined the beat last year, I thought, hey, I don't really know anything about this Trey Hendrickson person, but I think he could be really good. No, and in no corner of my mind would I have said, next year he's going to have double-digit sacks. I just thought he might be good one day. And all of a sudden he's more sacks than Cam Jordan. Like, actually double the amount of sacks almost of Cam Jordan. I mean,
that is wild.
It's crazy. And yet I still don't fully believe he's going to be on this team next year. Hendrickson, not Jordan. We'll see.
That's a big story. That's a big story.
He'll be on the team. I don't know how. I don't know how you let 13 and a half sacks just walk out the door.
Well, they've got like negative 100 million in cap space, so
whatever.
I'm sure they'll figure it out. They'll pay him like he'll like his cap number will be like a bag of Fritos or something. Year one.
Ghost years, like 5 extra ghost years where he's not on the team.
Like 5 voidable years. It would be interesting. I mean, we don't have much time, so that'll have to be for another podcast. But yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what they do with some of these guys that have these crazy cap numbers, like Alexander, probably gone, Janoris Jenkins, gonna have to fix that. Taysom Hill, obviously not going anywhere, but gonna have to fix that. So Kai Hartley's got a lot of work to do, but that's a story for future everyone else or future us.
Yeah.
Well, we know you gotta go. We know you gotta go hustle, do your own thing. We got through most of most of the Saints timeline. But we appreciate you coming on as always, Katherine. Before we let you go, what is your prediction? We got to get your prediction for the game on Sunday against the Bears.
Okay, people are they're gonna question as to why I have this so close, but for some reason in my mind it's 27-21 Saints. I just feel like it's one of those games where everyone thinks they're gonna win, so the Bears could put up a fight like they did last time. But I think if this team plays anything like it's supposed to play, they'll be fine. I hesitate to make any bold predictions after me and the rest of the world thought they were going to beat the Vikings last year. But I do think it's a very talented top to bottom team. And if they get, they should be getting Michael Thomas back and Deontay Harris, and their injury report's not too long. So honestly, if they're healthy, they get a little bit of luck and they play like they're supposed to. I mean, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I like
That's my prediction.
21-27 makes sense.
No, I get it. It makes sense. Thank you, Katherine, for coming on. You graced us with your presence yet again. Follow Katherine on Twitter. Follow her work, read her work, pay for her work, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on Sunday.
It's like $1.99 a month right now, like $1.99.
The Athletic, not the Atlantic. I mean, now I can't even talk. Not the Athletic, not the Atlantic. I can't even. You know what? That's okay. I'm just gonna stop talking and go spill coffee on myself or something, like I usually do. But hey, sorry I have to run, but it's so great to be on with you guys. Always. Hopefully we still have a lot more to talk about next week. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, Katherine. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. So we went over everything with Katherine before she got off. Drew comes back, that Kansas City game, the offense looks terrible. Everything looks off. They lose that game, but they rebound after the Kansas City game. Things are looking a bit better, because I get it. And then what happens is, so Kansas City game was the Vikings game. It was Vikings game, and Alvin goes off, 6 touchdowns, everything's looking hunky-dory. Boom. CJ Gardner-Johnson, COVID. Boom. Alvin, COVID. Alvin takes the entire running back room with him. They go into the last week of the season against the Panthers. No running backs. Just so much has happened with this team, Brian.
It's unreal, man. It's just unfucking real.
So much, bro. It's exhausting.
It's exhausting, man. It's literally to the point where I do not react.
Nope.
I do not react. I don't even comment on this sometimes. I look at the news, BR, release a report alert to pop up or something. I'm like, oh shit. And I just, go on about my business. I'll tweet about it later. You know what I'm saying? Because it's nothing surprises me at this point. Nothing.
Not even a little bit. Even today's Wednesday, some shit can happen on Saturday before the playoff game. Wouldn't even faze me.
Wouldn't even faze me, bro. Wouldn't even faze me. Shit on other teams faze me more than the Saints.
How crazy is that?
Fucking the Browns head coach is out.
Bro!
What the fuck?
There's only one team that has a level of just, man, y'all are fucking wild over there, that can out Saints the Saints, and that's the fucking Browns, bro.
Oh, that's the Browns for sure. Shout out, man. Shout out to Mark Sessler, all of them, bro. Browns fans. Woo, I don't want none of that shit. None of it.
I know we like to use the Dark Knight Rises, Bane scenes about darkness. No,
bro. That's darkness. maybe like the Saints fans from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But that shit right there, the Browns, this era. Whew.
Let me paint the picture. As a fan of a team, your favorite football team finally makes the playoffs for the first time in 18 years. Like a human who was born in 2002 is now an adult. Bruh. And in your first playoff game, you're going against your division rival that you can't fucking stand, and your head coach, who has done a very good job turning the team around, making them respectable, has made Baker look average, which I don't think he's a good quarterback. So he's done all this, and he can't coach the game on Saturday?
Oh man. He's coaching on Zoom this week, man. Like
Come on, bro.
Oh man.
Come on, man.
Fuck that shit. I mean, I'm sorry. Shouts out to the Browns fans, but man, you stupid if you're still a Browns fan. Like they got something better you can do, bro. Like seriously.
Try to get LeBron back. Something, man. Like this is too much.
No thanks.
So this is not our preview show. We'll preview the game, I think, tomorrow. But we just wanted to do a quick episode. We wanted to get Kat on here and do a season in review. Go over all the shit the Saints have been through.
Because we forget about a lot of this shit, man. It's
bro, I completely forgot that Emmanuel Sanders had COVID. It was gone. Lost it.
Like it's just crazy, man. It's crazy the shit Saints fans deal with, man. And we just so fucking jaded and just like that's why we laugh at the worst shit now. You know what I'm saying? Saints Twitter, we will laugh about anything. Because it's like, man, like what fuck look what we deal with, man. Like look what the fuck we deal with, man.
Yeah, like when we lose or when the Saints are going through their own shit, like other fans on Twitter try to roast us. Like, listen, you are not going to roast us better than we roast ourselves. Like,
come on. Like, you can do better than that. That's what annoys me. Like, when fucking fans bring up Katrina. Like, it's not that it's insensitive and horrible like it is, but that's not what getting. It's like, can you do fucking better than, like,
it's low-hanging fruit.
Like, bro, like, come on, man.
It's low-hanging fruit, bro. That's what it is.
Like, Saints fans know Julio Jones' real name. You know what I'm saying? Quantavious or some shit.
Out here, bro. So I know we talked about the Saints and shit, man. I feel like we wouldn't be us if we didn't talk about all the shit that happened today, bro. Like we gotta.
Oh man,
come on, man. We gotta talk about it. Like I know I haven't followed it intently because my day work-wise has just been a complete shit show. So like I'm focused on my own fires that I'm putting out in my career. So to see that the world on fire, like I haven't been able to focus on it. But I'm asking you, we're black men, we live in this fucking country. You know history. Like that is your shit.
It's my shit.
As someone who knows history as well as you do, can you put into context what fucking happened at the Capitol building today?
I really can't, man. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. Like, not saying like, you know, as far as the world, we've seen, you know, revolutions happen and people storm, leadership, capitals and stuff like that. But it's like weird. It's like, because what's happening here is it's kind of like LARPing, you know, it's like live action role play. So it's not a real revolution, you know what I'm saying? But they're LARPing as like a revolution. And they're doing it over Trump, who like lost, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just the weirdest thing. I have like so many thoughts, man. Like one thing I'm thinking is like, it's that fucking easy,
right? Yo, the first thing I don't remember the name of the first fucking movie with Gerard Butler, White House Down.
Olympus Has Fallen or whatever.
Thank you. Yes. I will tell you, when I watched that movie for the first time, it legit terrified me because I was like, yo, like that could happen? Like,
right.
And so, but then I was like, okay, keep context, like it's a movie, blah, blah. After what I saw today, I know other countries are like fucking licking their lips like, what?
They're like, damn, if we make this look like a protest, we could take over the fucking Capitol.
Yeah, come on now. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, so many thoughts, man. It's just, the hypocrisy, I mean, just, police acting like, okay, come on in. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but I look now, like at nighttime, I mean, they got the, they got the stormtroopers out there now. They whooping their motherfucking ass. Their ass getting whooped.
I haven't even had a chance to look, bro. They got
their ass getting whooped now, bro.
They got the Death Troopers level 3 out there, bro.
Yeah, man. They get their ass whooped now, boy. Like, one thing I'm interested to see, I wonder if the right wing is gonna become woke on police now. Like, I wonder if y'all gonna open your eyes a bit at this point, because look, they'll shoot your fucking ass too. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they prefer to shoot a black person. They prefer to shoot a black, but they'll still shoot your ass too. Like,
bang bang.
Don't get it twisted.
Bang bang. Let me put into context how my day was earlier. Okay, so I had to go down to downtown LA. I had to go to a police station to get a copy of some 911 audio for one of my cases. Most communications 911 audio places are like inside a police station, but not like a little police station. Like they're typically at like main, like big headquarters type of police stations, right?
Yeah.
So I go there, and as I'm walking, I've been there once before. And so I had to like look and find like where the front entrance was. And keep in mind, I'm dressed, I have my badge on, but as I'm walking, I noticed that there was a shit ton of police presence. Like huge, like a lot of police. And I'm like I know it's a police station, but like, why are there so many around? Like, why they're not inside? So I keep walking, and a proud 2 to 3 blocks from where I was a huge Trump rally.
Oh shit.
Going on. And so the police were just kind of meandering about, keeping an eye out on to see if shit escalated. Here I am, just here to fucking pick up a fucking audio CD. And when I tell you the juxtaposition I experienced as a black person, being one, surrounded by a lot of police officers, and then 2, being 3 blocks approximately away from a Trump rally. And keep in mind, I had no idea the whole Capitol building shut was happening at this point. I was just locked in my world, right?
Right.
And I was like, yo, this is scary as shit. Like, let me get I gotta grab this CD, but let me get the fuck out of here.
Let me get out of here. I do not feel safe.
Didn't feel safe, bro. Didn't feel safe. And then I don't know who first told me about what was happening in the Capitol, and I was like, oh shit. Like, what?
I sent you that picture of the dude in
yeah, and I was like, yo, is this real? Like, what's going on? And it's like you said, right? You said this months ago. People thought that when fucking January 1st, 2021 came on the calendar, shit was gonna be like, all right, we done. Got this shit over with. Like, no.
We started 2021 said, I got something for your ass. Y'all said 2020 was something. We about to cut up.
It's just we're gonna not super keep it political. We're trying to not keep it political, but I don't fucking care. Like, it's in my pin. It's my pin tweet is, if you voted for Trump, block me. I don't want shit to do with you. If you condone what took place at the Capitol building, block me too on Twitter. You can still listen to the podcast. Like we'll take the listens, and you can still subscribe. But don't fucking interact with me on Twitter. Like just don't. Like I don't need to have any type of conversation with someone like that. But just the world we're living in, and you hit on it in terms of the hypocrisy. Like when shit was happening, I didn't see any rubber bullets. I didn't see any tear gas.
No.
Shit. Do you remember one of my favorite memes is that ceramic frog?
Oh yeah.
That was them today, bro. Like
it was them, man. Cooling. Just cooling.
No.
I saw. I tweeted a video, man. They had one cop just running, man. He was like running for his life.
Oh, was that the super scared one?
Oh no, that was that dude, man. He need to retire right now, dude. That dude was spooked. And I understand, like when you got like 1,000 people just like fuck, man, I'm about to die. Like what you gonna do? You know?
And we're not even hitting on how it was a huge fucking super spreader event. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, it's a pandemic, so like,
I
light that shit up.
I don't have anything else. I will say this though, to tie it into football, the podcast, the Saints. At the end of the day, we football is an escape. Sports is an escape. We love the entertainment. We love the drama. I get that. But the world is on fire. And if the Saints lose on Sunday to the Bears, that's why I always say emotionally we've been preaching this since this podcast started. Let yourself go. Let those emotions go. Because what you don't want to happen is imagine the Saints losing to the Bears on Sunday. And I know for us, we'd be like, well, that was their window. Shit might be closed now. Like, we'll see what happened. Other people, like, they're in their fucking fields. They're fucking sitting tweets off. Like, if Saints lose on Sunday and then you have to deal with, like, real world shit and then you're mad about the world and you're mad about the football team, that's a terrible combination to be.
Nah, you don't want it. You don't want that shit.
You don't. So when we say emotionally disconnect yourself from the Saints, we're not saying not be a fan. We're not saying don't root for the team, but don't let them niggas ruin your fucking day. Like, don't. Because there's real shit going on that when the season's over, whether it's Sunday or whether it's in fucking February after they win the Super Bowl, the shit's still going to be outside the door. Like, we still got to fucking deal with that shit. And that's not going to go away.
No, man, no. And I was telling the young cats today I work with, I was like, bro, because, they're young, they're all cynical about everything. They're just like, oh, this is just the same old shit. I'm like, no. This is, we're in uncharted territory, bro. Like, y'all need to keep your eyes open on what's going on, man. Some shit is going on. This ain't next week everything gonna be all good. Nope. It's shit is going on. I don't know what it leads to. I'm just saying we're in uncharted territory here. Like,
I mean, you're almost 40. I'm almost 33. You've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. We're living through a pandemic, which none of our parents and sometimes even grandparents haven't been through. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. It's a lot, man. It's a lot, bro. I'm telling you.
It is. But that said,
use sports as an escape, man. Like, don't let it bring you down. Just use it as an escape to just unplug and just enjoy this shit, man. Like, Drew Brees' last ride, hopefully he go out as a champ. Let's see what this shit do, man. Like, let's enjoy this shit.
That's it. That's all we can do. So we'll be back. I think tomorrow we're gonna do the preview pod. Try to hopefully get that up tomorrow night, Friday morning, so you have it for the upcoming weekend. We'll recap. We'll have the recap on Sunday night, good or bad. We're gonna be here recapping what went down. But more importantly than all that, man, be safe. You know, take care of each other, take care of yourselves, because shit's crazy right now, you know, and all we can do is try to take care of ourselves, our loved ones, our family, the people that are important to us. So to all our listeners, stay safe, be careful, because shit's crazy right now. So
yes, sir.
So with that, we're gonna get out of here. We'll be recording tomorrow night, doing the recap, very intensive recap show. Preview show, talk about the Bears game. And until then, that's it. We out.
Peace.
Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using code Hawkeye and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, and the best daily promotions in the business. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matters more than ever. Remember to use code Hawkeye and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Place your money line, prop, or parlay bets with the king of sportsbooks today. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Iowa only. New customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.